that can be seen in full length for the duration of one semi-arduous poo. I'm going to do it again. Ooh, 38. Mountain biking is excellent. Because the internet has given us all the attention spans of 5-year-olds, I've been tasked with making one summary video of this year's field test that can be watched in the duration of one semi-arduous poo. So here are the strengths and weaknesses of the best enduro bikes from 2023 into 24. The common style really thrives on sections that are slightly higher speed, and that suspension is really well sorted, combining excellent sensitivity, support, as well as plenty of end stroke. However, it's not always the easiest to break into its travel initially. Now that comes to the fore at higher speed sections where small bump sensitivity is key. That's because when it resets to full travel, it feels like it's got some reluctance to break into the stroke. That can also come across as some kind of interference in the feet. The Ibis's responsive, sporty feel make it efficient both in terms of pumping and pedaling. And really, there's no reason not to have more travel as it comes in such a low weight package. It could prove a real hit with people that want an all-day pedaling bike, as well as something that can really hang on racetracks. However, the Ibis has one of the lower stack heights on test, and a lot of that height is heavily reliant on that long 180mm fork, meaning that should you ride steeper, rougher sections and that fork begin to pack down, it can take your front end height with it, and sometimes things can consequently get just a little bit spicy. It might lack a high-tech idler or exotic carbon fibre, but the Chromag tracks unbelievably well and is something of a comfort cruiser. If you like rough trails such as this, it's definitely worth your consideration. However, that lower stack height and comparatively long reach can begin to feel slightly unwieldy on slow, tight tech, as the bike feels like it wants to pull you forward. So it's a bit of a compromise. The Trek Slash is a high pivot bike with all the modern conveniences a rider could hope for. But what really impressed us was its dialed suspension that offers an excellent level of support whilst combining it with great tracking. It's a pretty stiff bike and could really prove to be a hit with the races. However, there do seem to be more than its fair share of clacks and snaps coming out of the frame, and it is quite a noisy bike. That's not even mentioning all the noise that comes out this bike when pedaling on big days, which isn't really fitting for the backcountry battle axe, as they call it. Although it does offer excellent tracking, that chain routing is more complicated, and we had a few issues with the chain coming off that lower idler several times in testing. If you're an active rider that really likes to pump and push the trail, the pole will reward that with so much acceleration thanks to its balanced geometry as well as its incredibly stiff alloy. Although that stiff, responsive feel can come back to bite you, especially on trails that are rough with sequential braking bumps into turns, that stiff rear end sometimes feels like it really doesn't want to track. The high pivot Nicolai, with its unique drivetrain arrangement, does without a derailleur adding chain tension below the stay, meaning it takes the feeling of being decoupled from the drivetrain forces to whole new levels. This bike on natural tech is simply outstanding in terms of grip. All that comes back to you though, and if you're somebody that pumps the bike for speed through sections, it's a polar opposite to something like the Ibis. It feels slow and lethargic in comparison. The Nuke-proof Mega, with its 180mm travel front and rear, is the longest travel on test, and it offers great tracking, grip and comfort for any rider hoping to tackle some real downhill trails. However, that deep feeling can begin to feel slightly unsupported on repetitive, harsh compressions. Now that might be more of an issue should you ride jankier trails where hitting cranks or even the bottom bracket shell off certain obstacles could be a real threat. The Uno does best on trails that are slower and techier, where it can really take its time, whilst giving riders a deep feeling bike that's happy to use its initial travel, as well as offering a tremendous amount of grip. But on higher speed sections with big compressions, it can feel like you blast through that first half of travel and go straight to that high area of support, which can not only lack the tracking required, but also be quite uncomfortable. So that's our summary of the strengths and weaknesses of some of the brand new bikes coming out for 2024. Now, for the full technical report, where we can go into far more detail, please do check out the Pinkbike homepage, as well as look up the full field test series. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.